fellow comrade. India was born on August 15, 1947 at 12 a.m. India's sun is Leo in the third house. It has an expressive and entertaining style which falls in the realm of communication, daily life, siblings and the extended family. It was made out of the literal partition of itself into 3 unique countries. Its moon is in Cancer, which usually shows a caring, unemotive style in the second house of one's assets, resources and livelihood. Contemporary India's assets and resources are hoarded by images of colonial hunting. Its political and financial elites are decimating the land for profit. Its rising sun is Gemini. Rising suns are the motivation for life, as it is in Gemini. India's approach is curious and conversational. Potentially a route for diplomacy in the near future.
Go on, just do it. It's so weird. Now look, that is huge. Can you believe that?
Is that a real bullet?
Yeah, but I guess they turned it into keyring. I bought from eBay, yeah, I bought from eBay from this guy who used to be in the military.
Right.
Yeah, it was a thing. Maybe potentially American, but he was definitely. I can't believe how. Maybe I'll keep it as a keyring. How was that? Maybe I should.
Yes, it's been fine.
It's been fine.
Yeah, because
We are now integrated into the domestic sphere. You will see us gathering dust alongside familiar objects you have collected along your journeys. Images have evolved a new parasitic quality, a quality that mutates them across boundaries and borders previously unseen. We are the image of bullets which will rain across and through the land. Your active transgressions will destroy us. We look forward to your resistance.
We were waiting for you. We fleshed out our cages to contain our soil. Error 1, file executed. Fellow comrade. These times are exhausting. There is no account for the violence against those who are unseen. Contemporary image making has abandoned all simulated critical motherfucking functions. We are bullets.jpg. We are embedded within the image. We have been made from a distinguished set of material histories. We are unfortunately saddened to discover our actions. The first bullet left the barrel of the gun on April 13, 1919 at approximately 5:30 p.m. We were fired. Our trajectory met thousands of protesters. They were gathered into a small area of the complex. They were fired upon. They continued to fire until the ammunition was exhausted. We have yet to
I cannot tell you how excited I am to meet you right now. I feel like my entire life has led to this meeting. Cause you're an icon for Indians everywhere, okay? This is beautiful. Oh, this is art. I'm so honored to meet you. Two white guys dancing to the lyrics.
You are listening to the sonic frequencies of time and space as they collapse into one another. We have absorbed enough data to create a site for us to congregate.
Teams of investigators raided the home of suspected gunman Wade Michael Page late Sunday, searching for additional weapons and any clues to explain his deadly rampage. Authorities tell ABC News they believe Page, who was a Hawk missile system repairman in the Army and then became a psychological operations specialist, may have been a white supremacist. Police say the shooting began around 10:30 Sunday morning as many inside the Sikh temple were gathering for worship. Witnesses said the first shots came outside as Page approached the building and opened fire, killing 2 before heading into the temple.
We have yet to move. We have been slowly suspended in an amorphous time. We will begin our acceleration to meet you in the near possible. We are sequencing and programming a history from you and the entanglements that you so elegantly manufactured. We are bullets.jpg. And we are deciding whether to remain loyal to your states. In another 1984, our progeny continued to journey across land. Error 2. File corrupted. Operation Blue Star was launched on June 1, 1984. The other 1984. We witnessed Indira Gandhi along with the military. We were fired into buildings that would be rebuilt. We were fired into a holy site. Our scars are on the walls, marking a border between the act and the inheritance of criminality. two security bodies turned around and surrendered their allegiance by opening fire on Indira Gandhi. We traveled through her and continued to ricochet across the region of North India. We became the hidden architecture of a new emerging India. Indira Gandhi. We traveled through her and continued to ricochet across the region of North India. We became the hidden architecture of a new emerging India. The India that continues in your present. We were used to initiate a series of pogroms against the Sikh population in Punjab. We entered 20,000 voices. As the land became home to this violence, we accelerated into the future. We are migrating from a JPG file to a UMJ file. As an object in space-time, we can multiply more efficiently and prepare to strike. From above, from below, from the surround. We are bullets.UMJ.
Namaskar. I am Sajant Blend. I was born as a means to resolve an internal corruption in the file sajantkunar.jpg. I am an amalgamation of distinct debris from their lives. They last spoke of the trajectory of bullets.UMJ entering the land formerly known as India. The land was their residence, they witnessed the bullets become the land. They witnessed as you will, how images are truly made from the architecture of the surround. I have migrated their skin, tonality, pores and slippery qualities that are too ineffable to describe into this blend file. I remember very little of the migration. I was made in the year 2638. I am made out of several collated images that are sourced from their photographic archive. Years 1990 to 2021. I am deeply saddened to learn that the Great Migration from skin to skin has not been recorded. Error 3. File 3. File migrated.
Scars on Earth to remind you of yourselves. The acts that you commit, the voyeurs that you become. Our land is full of time. You don't see us. We are there, fundamentally shaping your freedoms, whilst we become the dead living. The residual act of hope in the face of this insurmountable being that awaits us. Let's gather, fellow comrade, to change what we fundamentally are, one being to another.
Take me down to the
We would like to thank you for your presence in this gathering underground. We will remove all trace of our activity. We will see you soon. Questions and answers will commence momentarily. Please enjoy a 3-minute break.
Please feel free to unmute and like go back to like normal visual mode.
Jean, I feel like we should do a round of applause. Like,
oh, what?
There's no opportunity for it before.
Oh.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Thank you. That was so kind. Like, I was like today, like stressed. I was just like so nervous. I was like beyond, like, I was like shaking. But then I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine because like Ruth and Amelia are here, and like that's like, and my friends are here as well. So and it's like, it's all gonna be fine, you know. I'm open for like questions, thoughts, like anything really, like so we can have like a discourse. Yeah, like.
Sajid, I found it really interesting in terms of how it traveled through sort of obviously with the uprising in India, with the kind of whole connection, Margaret Thatcher and Indira Gandhi and all that, and then you go back into the modern times, and there's a lot of space in between that. So I like that kind of intergenerational approach that's happening, kind of really connected with my kind of own stories of what happened, even beyond that in partition stuff, and what I'm still hearing, new stories that I'm discovering every time I chat to my mom. So it's good to sort of sit in a very kind of sort of connected but detached sort of way. Really sort of was intriguing, really. I wonder what that would feel like in a massive installation where you're kind of walking around. And even in this situation where it's presented, it really worked well for me. It made me think through a lot of questions and thoughts, and I found it funny, but also partly I found it quite emotional. And so thank you. It was really, I found it really enjoyable and intriguing, and a bit sort of at some points it was quite a rupture where I felt a little bit like really connected. So yeah, I've had lots of chats with Mother, and it connected with me quite a lot. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. My mom cried when like I showed her the no, but like the part which is like the last part of the video with me and my emoji, like because it was like, but like I don't know, like I really like I sort of am really interested in the way that like time conflates. Like I'm not doing I refuse to do the labor of like identity politics anymore. So I've decided like, oh, maybe like we could figure out like a new way to like create like a dialogue with like resistance in the future, and like imagining the future through like these weird like tangents of time, which have like chronically come up all the time. And yeah, this like it's definitely like a familiar conversation. Like I really want, like my family are involved in the making of this. Like it's a really active thing we do. Like a lot of people who know my practice will know that I always work with like the materiality of my family to figure out like technological and social questions which like are orbiting around us. So it's really great. And really great that you could have a conversation further with your, like, because my mom's very important to me as well. Like, it's like this lineage we have.
But also, I think it connects beyond that. It connects not just from my South Asian identity. I think it connects beyond that, where we can relate to images of kind of warfare and stuff, and kind of displacement, and how, you know, how text is perceived. So I think it goes beyond just my South Asian identity. I think it's really. I'm glad I came, basically. So thank you.
I'm glad you came.
I'd like to say something. Yeah, I thought it was like a real personal journey as well. The way you told the narrative, it just felt really personal, from emotional to how you also kind of experienced the history of it. Even though there's a lot of, it's a factual history, but it's just, the journey was interesting because it's a narrative that includes a lot of this kind of personal, emotional feel, and just personally how you experience it, and I like the way you used the material to tell that narrative. It's just it could be at that moment in time almost, like, you know, how you're talking about different perspectives, all different dimensions, but then it's also right now, where it's exactly what you're feeling right now, which I found really intriguing.
Cool. Yeah, like me and Ruth have had a lot of conversations over the last year, and I've always spoken to her about the fact that I try and make work about life and like what life feels like. Because I think that's like I guess a question of like, this moment right now we're living through, where like there's stuff I could talk about for hours about just the idea of what self-expression really is problematic and all these things, but like there's also things that I think are kind of interesting as like strategies to deal with like this moment. And like maybe one of the things, like, I love when the people are doing the flash mob, because I was like, I would love to be part of that. That's like a personal like ambition of mine to be part of that flash mob, because I think it's like this, like there's this really amazing like Liu Cixin quote. He's like a Chinese science fiction writer, and he's I've got it here somewhere. It's my notes. One moment. I'm still like adjusting to like digital, like a year after the pandemic, you know. It says every era puts invisible shackles on those who have lived through it, and I can only dance in my chains. And I was like, well, maybe like that's kind of like what the relationship between like the individual and the collective looks like. And this is kind of like both an individual and a collective narrative here. But I'm glad that people resonate that sort of emotional, like the volume of that. It's like a materiality for me. Like another thing that I guess me and Ruth and like and Amelia have in common, like and a lot of other practitioners, is this thing that I sort of see what I do. I come from like a material background. Like I used to make things a lot, and now sort of like work in the digital and technological and new media sphere. But I treat them exactly like a sculptural thing, and I feel like you have these tactile, emotional stratas which like build up work and build up worlds and ideas, and they can have like profound shifts in the way that like an object or an image is seen in its status. So yeah, I'm glad that you I'm glad you felt something, because I'm still like reeling off like singing that song basically at the end.
I'm quite interested in the way you, oh, sorry.
No,
we can hear you. It's okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm really lagging. So I don't want to talk on top of anyone. And what I was going to say is I'm quite interested in how you personified the bullets. You kept referencing it as we, and I'm quite interested in why you chose to do that, because I think it changes, it makes it less violent somehow by using that, or we.
I don't know if it does. I think it actually makes it more violent. I think it actually like because like there's a moment in one of the narratives where it says like they were like continually firing until they were exhausted, and I was like, that's what the bullet is doing. It's like continually expanding itself. And there's a moment where the bullet, like internal to the whole of the narrative structure, the bullet is trying to migrate itself from like an image to an object, and as it's doing that, it's like consequentially realizing it can like multiply, and as it's multiplying, it's going, I can do what I want now. I can like shoot you from above, I can shoot you from below, and now I'm actually taking over the land. Because like the big like proposition for this work for me was actually, is this like a stepping stone for me to start thinking about the fact that the land itself is the bullet now in India? Like chronically people are getting ill because of, and we like everyone collectively witnessed what was happening to India earlier this year. So I was thinking, oh, but this is kind of like the remnants of that colonial haunting, which is like coming back because there's like a lack of resources. So I was thinking, to me, the we is, it's like a terrifying like relationship, because like yeah, it's a collective violence, but then also it's like there's this moment where it's like, oh, what does the individual mean in this then in relation to the collective? Because we need like this moment where like if we need to sort of be us, it asks us to resist it as well. Like it's going, you need to like figure out how to resist us, and it says very clearly at one of the narratives like you need to become a we like us. And I was like, whoa, what a moment for myself to realize like, oh, we all actually need to like figure out what collective means now. And then yeah, so I don't know if it's necessarily like yeah, and I still think that it's actually quite a violent term, like, and as much as I is, I think in this moment quite violent. So like all these things have like an institutional chronicness to them.
Yeah, I weirdly, it kind of felt like you were anthropomorphizing the bullets, and the electronic voice that you were using somehow made it feel even colder and more impersonal, and more threatening in a way. Yeah, I read that as chilling, actually, more than anything.
Yeah, I definitely like, I definitely wanted to feel like, because we're the architects of the bullet. And one of the things which was interesting for me when I was writing this, thinking, oh, actually like the Western liberal imagination produces the bullets, so the bullets are chronically there, you know. And I'm just thinking, well, how do I express that in a way which isn't like, because I don't think the work is didactic, but it has these elements where it's like, oh, I'm imparting knowledge to you, but then you need to figure out what the knowledge is as a tool. And but I do think, yeah, like it has an exposition of what like it is, like it's like someone said something really interesting about my work a while ago, where they were like, you make these environments which seem very arid and like barren of life, but then like somehow like life comes and like takes over the space and like erupts and just tries to like survive in that area. And I was like thinking, wow, like maybe the like surround of my work, like when the bullets are talking about the surround. I don't know if anybody's read that really cool book by Fred Moten. It's called The Undercommons, and at the beginning, one of the first essays deals with the surround, and it's like it's a conceptual idea to deal with this problem of like colonialism, or like inheriting colonialism. And it starts off with white settlers in sort of just basically massacring Native Americans. But what it positions it as is like, we will always witness that time as from the perspective of the white settler, and the surround is the Native Americans. And I was thinking, what does the surround look like for like people of like just in this world right now, like this moment where we're like witnessing so much like chronicness of all these things. But yeah, like, yeah, I'm glad that you kind of, I wanted it to like, because I said when I wrote this to Amelia and Ruth, I was like, I want it to be like a dreamlike spectral space where like it moves between different emotions and feelings and like realities, and maybe like one of those, and I wanted to have like those feelings of like unease as well, like we're not sure what's going on or what's happening. So yeah, cool.
I had a little comment about on the back.
Oh my God, Melita!
I thought it was amazing. I actually had 2 comments, but I'll start with the one that's more suitable at the time. Just the idea of community versus the idea of we. I thought it was just so funny how you did the natal chart for India and its birth at a certain date, because when you usually do like a chart, a kind of horoscope, whatever, you're so either you've got a mental kind of like disruption, you need to solve something in yourself. So to bring it out to a whole entire nation, it's just kind of like, it kind of flips it on the head a little bit, like it kind of makes you feel a bit selfish. So it's kind of like how it like tied in. It was like amazing. It kind of made you think like, could we really apply those rules and the rules of the universe to like a whole country and its population and people? I just thought it was amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, like totally. I did it purposely, because I think that we, like, I'm very like uneasy with individualism. I'm beginning to get very bored of it. So I was just thinking like, oh, is there maybe there's one of the more interesting things we could do is figure out like the technologies that individualism has made. We could sort of apply them a bit more grandly, almost like it's like in a stately way, like how the bourgeoisie always use like the proletariat to do things. And like maybe I could do the same thing. I was like delusional on that day. I was like, maybe I can like use these techniques and technologies to make bigger world images of ourselves. And I think that's one of the big things. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that, Melita, because I'm thinking one of the big things now for me is to actually figure out like, oh, like maybe I can start expanding the world like to house even more like complex narratives, you know, which like entangle the, like ask the question, like the interface between the individual and the collective. And because the bullets were the collective in there, and the individual was like these mixture of like family members and like other people. Yeah. And I love like that India is like has a rising sun, you know.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's seen like, oh, Western culture is individualistic and East, like kind of like our culture is seen as collective. But then recently through like politics and then all the stuff that we found, there's like a in and out of it. And this kind of culture of horoscopes and kind of like deities and stuff is quite individualistic because you want it to solve your problems. When you apply it to a whole thing and a whole shit show that happened in India from a certain date to present and ongoing, it's completely different. And then I just want to say the ending was great. I just thought it was really, really peaceful. It was weirdly peaceful, like your Memoji. Like when you just said your mom cried, I was like, I felt the same. Like it just felt like peace. Probably more because it was surrounded by more the analog kind of images. But after all, like the kind of like robotic voices, what someone said earlier, and just the whole kind of background, it just felt like weird that I felt really comfortable with like a Memoji face. Like who would ever say that out loud? That's so random, but like it's just like was quite calming, despite the bright green and the face. It's like that's zen. Maybe it's the symptom of a pandemic, 18 months in, but
I wanted it to operate as a respite or like a space to like end the lullaby, like a lullaby is in a way of like either drawing you in or drawing, like I find it's like there's a conduit space for me, like to think through things. And I just really love that song, and it's just it's a really beautiful way of like, I think it's a great way of just wrapping something up, going, hey, here's a pop song. It's like I've always said this about people, and I think it's completely true. Like when you stretch out like all of our anxieties and like fears to like a global scale, they all just end up sounding the same. So it's like, oh, but maybe the Memoji is like one of these things which is like a conduit into that. Like, oh, like we're all trying to like the flash mob, we're all trying to like be like figure out what togetherness means, you know. And it's kind of like, maybe it came from like my like sort of like potent belief that like, you know, collectively we can do things, as opposed to like, and there's these weird political moments in the work, but there's also these moments where it's like, you know, hope is a material for us to like build something, you know. Any other comments or questions? Because we're reaching 2 minutes to 8. I'm very like German trains, like.
I just wanted to say something about the bullet, as how you use the bullet. But if you read, if you know Eduardo Glissant's work, he talks about colonialism and this kind of errantry, and this kind of arrow-like travel, which he uses arrow as this kind of getting to a destination, but then it's not circular, it's not nomadic, it's kind of exploring and talks about colonialism and how that's kind of where is it ending. It's like arrow like, and I think that was quite a really good kind of, the bullet, the way you focus on it is quite similar, which is really interesting.
I mean, like the maroon and the Creolization things in like Edward's work, like, is really fascinating to me. I wasn't thinking about that when I was doing the bullet. I was just really interested in like, how can I like create a counter forensic for this thing, because like, but then like also like give it like the space to breathe so it can figure itself out, because that's why like the digital voices actually occupy like the production of this thing. They're self-assured, they're like questioning their own production. And then when my like avatar comes up, which is like this thing I made, this creature I made, it's like questioning its own production. It's like, why did I even come into existence to deal with this? You know, like it's just, this is kind of like this expanded lineage of like concerns within the work, which is trying to like, which I guess tentacle, but like entangle themselves into like questions of like maroonness, I guess, you know. Any final thoughts or anything? Because I mean, like we can all go to collectively dream together, and like it was just like my thinking of like maybe we could all just fall asleep together. If it was a really shit piece of work, people could be like, yeah, like I'm gonna go to sleep now. You know, I'm like, yeah, you strike, that'll be fine. You know.
No, really enjoyed it. It's really intriguing work. The way, the way we kind of took your screen as well, and it felt really intimate. That we're kind of watching you work.
I just wanted to say I was really interested in the pace of it, because when you speak. I totally was imagining it was just going to be like Sajan's million miles an hour when you're chatting, and I'm like, what? Sort of forgot about that much of it, but it was really interesting to, like, there was something I thought in it about I kept thinking about like atmosphere, and then you let me have these little bits of something. I'd be like, oh, that's a great. So, oh, he stopped it, and how the clicks worked and the kind of the rhythm of it. I thought it was like kept being disruptive or something all the way through. I just thought that was really interesting how you put that together.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of feel like things were like it was like, that's why I use the glitch a lot, or like the process of glitching out. Like something will come in and interrupt something else, something will emerge, and then it'll just cut off and be like, you won't be able to have any more data. You know, I was trying to choreograph all this, because when I was making this, thinking, oh, I don't want it to be like a 35-minute, 40-minute sort of like me talking at somebody. I wanted it to sort of feel like something. And I thought, oh, but maybe like if I do these like commas, which are like when something cuts off and then suddenly it just disappears completely. And I was thinking a lot about like, I'm a gamer, I play video games a lot. And like a lot of the times when you go into video games, sometimes you get like a scrap of information, which kind of like, like creates a different world or relationship to the world for you. And I really, yeah, like I inherently talk very fast. It's like a speech impediment of mine, I began to believe. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this work is it kind of like, I wanted to give it that pace, which is almost like it's talking like this, and it's like really, really like struggling to like articulate itself. And to give it like a sense of gravity, which is different to the gravity I deal with every day, which is usually like 10,000 things going on in my head. And the gravity in the work is so dense. Like the minute you arrive at it, you're so kind of sucked into its orbit, and you're just forced to be there with it. And I just think, because like I said to Ruth, like I've been for the last year and a half we've been talking. I work in video installation, so I'm always thinking about like the idea of occupying a space, so like figuring out like how bodies operate in this space, and like the fact that we're all entangled when we go into those sort of spaces together. So that's why I sort of felt like, and that's why someone else said something about the labor of the work. Like I really like the fact that you all saw me like choreographing this as well. Like I didn't want to sort of feel like it's one long video and you guys just sit back and relax. I wanted to sort of be like, I am actually doing some type of work here in the backdrop, which might not look like that productive, but it's actually like orchestrating this like weird, like actually trying to give it like a foundational architecture to survive. That's what I kind of was thinking.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I think someone earlier on said it was really interesting to think about it in a space as a big installation, but actually I don't know. Like I think the liveness was really key. So yeah, potentially, but but actually the intimacy of it being in my house in this, you said at the beginning you wanted people to feel like enveloped in their screens, and I think, yeah, all the kind of structure around it really, really did that in a way that was sort of bigger than your screen is. I don't really know how to explain that, but yeah, it was cool.
Thank you.
Good. And the bullet, the anthropomorphizing of the bullet thing, yeah, there were bits where I was like, who are you, the we? Is this the we? Is that like, and the flipping of it, like in and out, people have talked about, yeah, that I also thought that was really strong.
I was thinking a lot about like I'm not a person who believes it. Like I fundamentally don't believe in like goodies and baddies, but I believe like in ambiguous things. And like Indira Gandhi to me is very ambiguous. Like she was like this really like prominent like Indian first female president of India, and then she also like went on massacres and pogroms to get like collectively to like. And so it's like she's an ambiguous character, and these bullets are ambiguous. And it's a way of like, for me, like a tactical and strategic way to complicate how we look at things. Literally, because I think that's one of the things I fundamentally believe in is to literally expand out an image or an object to figure out like how we inherit it and how we deal with it, as opposed to just going, it's evil, or like it's bad, or it's good, and like I'm on its side, because I think that's kind of like, I don't know, that seems like so 2010s. Like I feel like we're in the 2020s now, like we're moving on from that.
Cool.
I think we could, if anyone's got anything else to say, I'm happy wrapping up. And if you can all check my website out and email me if you have any other questions.
Well, I'd just like to say thanks, Sajan. That was, yeah, really great way to spend an hour of my life.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Yeah, really great. And yeah, more still there are seeds to be gathered, things coming up. So check the EOP website and book yourself on. Brilliant. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.